U.S. House lawmakers have passed a landmark bill effectively banning the popular social media platform TikTok unless it separates itself from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. The bill gives TikTok 1 year to sell its stake to a U.S.-based entity. Lawmakers in both parties raised national security and data privacy concerns. It will now go to the vote in Senate, where it's expected to pass. For more on this, let's get the perspective from China with journalist Fabian Kretschmer in Beijing. Fabian, have there been any reactions there so far to the U.S. bill?
So not after the latest vote, but in general, the government here has commented extensively on the US bill. For example, the foreign ministry, it has strongly criticized the bill, saying that basically it only serves US interests, that the US would basically abuse national security to bring down Chinese companies, and that also the US would apply a so-called robber's logic to steal Chinese companies. So very strong criticism there. And if you look at how Chinese state media, who are effectively owned by the government and mostly also by the Communist Party, how they have framed the issue, that is also quite remarkable. They, for example, focused on concerns for press freedom in the US, which actually is really a very delicate balancing act, given the fact that, not only all Western platforms are banned here in China, but also TikTok itself is not available. Actually, what you can download here in the app stores in China is Douyin. That's an alternative version that, of course, applies to Chinese laws. And that is the whole point of the Chinese government. It only allows online platforms that strictly abide by the censorship rules here. And that has not been the case for example, WhatsApp and all those other Western platforms that are not available and that are de facto blocked here in China.
I'm curious how the business universe is reacting to this news. Is it conceivable to people that TikTok will actually be severed from its parent company?
So if you talk to experts, they think there's no way that Beijing, the Chinese government will allow TikTok to be sold to a US company. I think for that, TikTok is too important. The algorithm is very superior. It is one of the strongest Chinese companies abroad. And actually, if you look at how ByteDance, the mother company of TikTok, is reacting, it stays very silent. And the reason is because it's really in a hard spot. If it is outspoken, for example, criticizing the behavior of the US government, then basically it counters their own narrative that basically says that TikTok is acting independently from ByteDance, the Chinese mother company. On the other hand, it also cannot be critical to the Chinese government because Xi Jinping, the head of state here in China, demands absolute loyalty from its companies. And if they distance themselves from the Chinese government, then basically they lose market share, they get regulated. And there have also been a lot of CEOs that have been disappeared for several months. So I think it is really a very strict and a difficult situation also for ByteDance, the mother company of TikTok.
Our thanks, as always, to journalist Fabian Kretschmer in Beijing.